Hi everybody, I wanted to show you what I do when I sand down the edges of a piece that I have resined. When you resin a piece and you tape the sides to keep the resin on top and not dome over, and even if you do let it dome over, there's a certain amount of sanding that you'll end up doing. But at any rate, if you look at this right here, that paper, what you see on top, that paper is on top of my piece. So that's the top of the resin piece. And so I took some paper and I cut it just so that it came to the edges of the piece where the lip of the resin is raised and rough. And I took frog tape and I went around all four sides so that, again, it went right up to the edge of where the resin is, just the edge of the resin. And I took a few pieces of sandpaper to see which one would work best. That was just too rough, the one that you're looking at there. That was an 80. So it was much too rough on it. I'm just adding extra tape here because I don't want to get any part of the top of the piece scratched. So I keep trying this particular one, and then eventually I pick up a 150. So this is a piece of sandpaper 150, and that's what I used. It's a 150 grit piece of sandpaper that I cut, and I went around all four sides, carefully smoothing down the edges so that they were not rough anymore. And when you do that, you're by taping the top of the piece, by putting the paper and then putting the frog tape, you're eliminating any chance of like your hand slipping and then the sandpaper, scratches the top. I don't want to resin this piece again because it came out very, very, perfect for me. Sometimes there's usually some kind of flaw. So I'm cutting, you see me struggling with these scissors. I end up using an X-Acto knife to thin out the tape eventually, but I'm going around it because I notice that there's just a little bit of on the edge that I need to get closer to so that when I sand it again, I'm not getting any part of the piece scratched or compromising any part of the top of this resin piece. So I could use an X-Acto knife to thin down the tape, which worked out really well. I have to remember that. Much better than scissors. When you have a wide piece of tape and you don't want to put another wide piece on it. That's all I'm doing right here. I just want to show you that how important it was for me to get as close to the edge of the piece as I could so that I didn't get any scratches on any part of the top that would, perhaps ruin it in some way. Not really ruin it, but, make it less than what I wanted it to be. So when I'm sanding here, I'm sanding in such a way that I'm really trying to focus on only the part of the resin on the edges that's raised. And I'm not going down completely flush to the tape. I'm trying not to. In some cases, that's okay as long as you don't sand through the tape. Also, when I'm sanding this, you'll notice that there are some times where I'm actually sanding the sides, and that's because some of the tape did get. I'm trying to get some of the tape off, the frog tape that didn't quite come off. It got stuck between the resin and the canvas just a little, not enough for me to be concerned at all, but that's what I'm doing. So I'm going all around this piece, all four sides. It looks like I'm going fast because this is sped up 4 times. I'm not. I'm going very slow and I'm being very careful, taking my time, and just making sure that I'm trying to achieve the look that I want to achieve for this piece. And now you can go as far down as you want when you after you resin it, when you're sanding the sides down to smooth them. You can go down as far as you want. I usually find the corners, the resin tends to be a little bit more raised, so I focus on the edges and making sure that it's even with when it's meeting that corner is meeting the other side, that it stays even between the two sides. So now the sides of this piece, I'm going to paint. I'm going to put some gesso all around the sides, and then I'm going to repaint it because it needed it anyway. So any part of it that may get sanded, it's okay, because again, I'm going to paint all around the sides because this is going to be framed. So here I'm just showing you again what I'm doing. I think I went down, okay, from there so I'm using the 150, and then from the 150 sand grit, I went down to 400. This is an important part. When you're going around it, when you're sanding this, make sure that you're taking a piece of paper towel, and you're just wetting it slightly and I'm constantly wiping around it, and it's not compromising the tape at all. It's the tape stays on there. It really is amazing. It really is amazing. I'm very, very happy with this method. I've never tried it, but when a user on a person on one of my groups mentioned that the sides, I took a picture of it, the sides seemed rough, and what do I do? I said, I'm going to do a video and show you what I'm going to do with how I'm going to do this. So here I went down to a 400, which is a much softer piece of sandpaper, so that when I go around it for the last time, and then I take the tape off and the paper and I show you, you're going to just see just how smooth it is, because the finer the grit, the smoother your resin will, the smoother that it will be, the parts that you sand down. Also, this piece was very level, but even so, the corners of the canvas, they tend to just slightly dip down, ever so imperceptibly, you barely notice it. But although the resin is self-leveling, you'll notice that the corners tend to get a little bit higher and a little bit rougher. Each corner, it was in each of the corners. And it's done that in almost every case, and it's okay. You just sand it down. Just be careful that you sand it down so that as you're sanding it, I don't know if you noticed it, but I sort of take the sandpaper and I go across so that it's flush with the other side. So now I'm taking the tape off so you can see. And you'll notice that when I do this, the sides are still very slightly raised, but I like this effect, and I'm going to keep it this way. Also, bear in mind that you can also take a higher grit sandpaper, like go up to 800, for example, and smooth it down even more. I may do that in only one part of this piece, and that was the upper right-hand corner that I first showed you when I got up close to this piece to show you the sides. That's the only I may do that. It's coming over to the right. Okay, you can't see it, but there it is, upper right-hand corner. It's just a little bit rougher than I want it to be. And that's all I'll do. I'll put a piece of tape, a wide piece of tape, so I don't, by chance, scratch any of it, of the piece itself. Now, the sides I'm showing you because what I'm going to do, and only on the canvas, I'm not going to touch the side where, where the resin begins. I'm only going to put gesso on the canvas, and I'm going to clear gesso, and then I'm going to paint the sides, and I'm going to keep the colors the same as the top, so there's consistency. So the top where you see all that gold, I will be painting the edge of the canvas, not where the resin is, only where the canvas is, and I will paint that gold. And then on the sides, I'll try to match the paint coming down where you see the different blues and golds, and like that. So that's what I'll do, and that's it. And then I'm done, because this is going into a floater frame. Look at that. That's so nice, and it's so nice and smooth. I don't want to mess with that. I really like the way this came out. And it's up to you. You know, we have to be confident in our work, and that's the part I just touched that I think I want to just use a higher grit and get that down even smoother. But, you know, it's up to us. We have to be confident in our work, and our confidence, it's difficult for me as an artist to really, you know, we want to please anybody, you know, a potential buyer. But when we're happy with our piece and we're confident, that shows through. And somebody looking at a piece of art that you've done, when you're happy with it, they will feel that. People can be very intuitive, and if you're unsure about something, you know, many things can happen that are not always good. So anyway, enough said about that. You're gonna be seeing some. I'm gonna go just do a couple of short close-ups like that, and I just want to say thank you for asking the question. Thank you, you know, because I learn every time somebody asks a question, I learn too. So I appreciate that. It helps me learn, and I will pass on everything I learned to you. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye-bye.